Hey everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. Hope you're doing well. I know I am, or at least I'm doing better than I was yesterday, because yesterday I was sort of sick. I was sort of sick yesterday, but now I'm feeling somewhat better. Sorry to anyone who watched the King Cruel review and thought I was depressed or not feeling the record or whatever. I was just not feeling well. But still, I wanted to hop on camera today and talk about a news story that dropped earlier this month that really intrigued me, having to do with AI, artificial intelligence. It's slated to take over everything, the world, and musicians are first, buddy. And this agency Space 150 has, I guess, brought us one step closer to that by giving us a fake Travis Scott, a synthetic AI-generated Travis Scott. They have dropped this song and music video under the name Travis Bot. Jack Park Canny Dope Man. Sounds like a Travis Scott song to me, and a lot of Travis Scott fans are pretty impressed with this one. They think it sounds a lot like the real thing. Personally, I think it sounds like a cheap knockoff. If I heard this in the middle of a Travis record, I wouldn't be hitting the replay button on it. Mostly because it seems like, not terrible, but really just a copy and paste of the most basic elements of a Travis song, and that's it. But still, if an AI can get this close, doing everything by itself, that's pretty impressive. But if we actually look at the Adweek article detailing what the AI did and didn't do, we see that it's not really doing everything by itself. It's not even really maybe doing that much. What is definitely attributed to the AI are the lyrics, are the main thematic melody of the track. Apparently it had a hand in some of the rhythmic sequencing of the song too. But did it pick the drum timbres? Did it pick the synth patches? Did it EQ or master, engineer, mix anything at all? I mean, they don't really say. We're not even entirely sure if the voice is generated by the AI on this thing too. I mean, it could be, but they didn't explicitly come out and say that. So as of right now, I'm not entirely sure. But again, to go back to the things that were directly attributed to the AI in this piece, definitely the lyrics, which in my opinion are not much of a flex, even after having apparently fed this thing tons of Travis Scott lyrics. All it's really spitting out is like complete nonsense that makes no fucking sense whatsoever. Now, for a Travis song, I guess that's not too terrible, because your ears don't usually gravitate to whatever the lyrics are in a Travis Scott song anyway, because it's really more about the wavy vibes and the aesthetic and how huge and epic and gargantuan the instrumental feels. So, again, not always about the lyrics in a Travis song, but the main melody of the track too is kind of bland. It's a very redundant sequence, not one that I would say is a stunner if I were to hear it in just any other Travis track, honestly. The beat itself, whatever in it we can attribute to the AI, is okay. I personally don't think it's texturally creative enough or out there or trippy enough to really be all that exciting for a Travis Scott song. So, I am pretty underwhelmed with this. If I were to just judge it just on the basis of it being a song, and no matter who made it. But I will say, if you are going to copy this style, doing Travis Scott, a pretty distinct artist, you are shooting for the moon and the stars. If a AI can get this close to a Travis Scott song, because while it does sound like a knockoff, it's not super far away. Even if it did require some help getting to this point. But still, at the point where this is at now, what can easily be done, possibly, is blatantly copying and pretty much erasing the need for any number of basic auto crooners with no personality, style, or anything whatsoever. Which is kind of freaky to think about, that we are sort of stepping closer to this future where, maybe like we are just going to be listening to AI musicians instead of listening to actual musicians, whether they be great or talented or not. And look, I don't say what I'm saying here just to pick on hip hop or pick on auto crooners or anything like that, or pick on mumble rappers per se, because I have heard very convincing AI generated pieces in the fields of black metal and death metal as well. So look, if this technology gets any better, we're all kind of collectively fucked. So while I do tend to read a lot of the gray area in this piece around the Travis bot as being that's most likely stuff that AI isn't really doing, and it probably needs a lot of human intervention and help to get this far. I mean, this piece does admit the AI needs a lot of supervision to have done what it did here. Having said that, the technology to perfect this stuff could be just around the corner. But still, I wouldn't let that totally freak you out, because I personally envision that we are most likely going to reach a point in the future where we are using AI to streamline the creative process, and an AI becomes just another tool in the pocket of the everyday musician, producer, what have you. I mean, look, if we eventually reach a point where all this stuff becomes sentient and there is like a robot on human war that dominates the planet for the next, 200 years, then that's just going to be what it is, regardless of whether or not, we have a rip-off Travis Scott in the process of getting there. But for right now, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, I don't envision a future where musicians are just completely replaced. Because at the end of the day, even if this AI reaches a point where it can do all of what it did here on its own, all that it truly really did was create a slightly altered copy of a bunch of information, whether that be compositional information or information on the sound and aesthetic of an instrumental or the lyrics, whatever. Just a slight variation of that information, and just spit it out back in your face. Whereas Travis Scott, being, who he is, has the free will and hopefully the drive at some point to do something entirely different, change his sound, evolve it, surprise us. I suppose AI is also capable of generating random ideas too, but in the case of Travis Scott, as somebody who is interested in hearing what he has to do artistically in the future, because I have loved his work in the past, and I trust his ear, and I trust his vision, I would love and be very curious to hear him try something new at some point with his next record, or maybe even the record after that. Whereas for an AI to pursue that very same thing, it would need to be instructed to do so by whoever was controlling it. And I just don't really see that as I guess, interesting as far as like, an artistic type of process goes. Maybe that's just me, and most people don't really care how the sausage is made. In fact, I know that to be the case. Having said all of that, this article and Travis Bot does put us at an interesting crossroads. Are we at a point where this AI is just essentially a bad lyric and melody generator right now, and it's not as impressive as we're being led to believe? Or are we almost at the point where we can just command an AI to, AI, make 10 little Tekka songs, and then, you're just drinking your coffee, and then the 10 little Tekka songs are done in 3 minutes. Let me know what you think of this song and video when you give it a watch and listen down below. Were you impressed with it? Do you think it's amazing? Is it close to the real thing? Or does it just sound like, a knockoff? And we will catch you guys in the next video. Over here is another one next to my head that you can click on, hit that up, or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Travis Scott, Travis Bot, forever.